This Future Cities Africa episode is presented by Wesgro, the official tourism, trade and investment promotion agency for Cape Town and the Western Cape. Ruby Swigelaar, head of the Agribusiness Investment Promotion Unit at Wesgro, is my guest today. We discuss food for thought, the future of agribusiness. Ruby, welcome. You manage the agri portfolio at Wesgro. Can you give us a brief breakdown of what this involves?
I am the recently appointed manager of our Agribusiness Investment Promotion Unit at Wesgro. A key role within our landscape, our agri-landscape in the Western Cape. As you well know, Wesgro is the provincial agency for our province, focused on investment promotion, export promotion, and tourism promotion. Smaller divisions within our agency, but that's really the three core remits for the work that we do. The agricultural sector is an important one for our province, given that it produces a range of products given our climate and contributes more than 50%, in fact 55% to South Africa's agricultural exports to the rest of the globe. It's a very important sector for our industry and growing jobs in our province.
Looking globally, what is the future of agribusiness?
The future for agribusiness and agriculture, I think, is well known for most people in the industry and outside of the space. It's a focus on addressing climate change and sustainable farming practices, with an increase in climatic conditions that are unpredictable, as well as an increase in our global population. Food security is the buzzword. And obviously, the increase in input costs makes it quite a treacherous environment for many of those in the space trying to produce and meet these demands. Societal pressure, is a big one also, as well as the EU Green Deal and implications for our market, in supplying the European Union, particularly with, agricultural produce and agri products from our space. So sustainable farming is going to be an important one. It's a buzzword already and one supported strongly in our region. And for many reasons also, it looks at stabilizing the food supply. So ensuring that not, one or two key players in this industry supports this agricultural industry, but there are far more local players and they're supported. It's protecting and conserving our water resources. So focus on strong irrigation systems and smart solutions where water conservation is concerned, and protecting our natural resources, saving energy so we can lower green emission and carbon emission in our space, but also nourishing soil and including a diversity of plants that get produced and basically diversity in production, both animal production and plant production. So away from industrial focus and yes, economies of scale, but a more inclusive approach that sustains our environment and it creates longevity in the long run. So that's really a strong focus in terms of agriculture and agribusiness in our space. But in terms of buying trends and the products that are really making quite a bit of noise at the space, I'd easily think of, low alcoholic drinks. And we're known for our wines, but many of our producers are very much aware of the fact that they need to consider this growing market. Our pandemic produced many, many important points and trends, the focus on health. So low alcoholic beverages is going to be a huge trend, and many of us, our wine suppliers and producers, are fully aware of low sugar, low alcohol. That's key going forward. Alternative proteins, plant-based meat is a huge trend also. As much as convenience was the buzzword for the last 50 years, in the next 50 years and more, people are going to be focusing on these alternatives. But consumers are far more aware of the information available, and as much as consumers are wanting to understand the process involved, I think there's a fair amount of education that needs to take place in this regard. Africa is catching up with the rest of the globe in terms of regulation, but I definitely believe that this industry is going to be growing and is going to be supported, knowing the trend globally. Also, kind of consumers are interested in getting functional benefits from food. I think there's a sway away from supplements and taking a range of tablets, but understanding just which nutrients are needed in food, which nutrients are needed for individuals. Consumers are far more, informed and knowledgeable of what they need, and they want the scientific backing too in understanding not only how products are processed, but what the scientific backing is for those functional benefits in food. I think those are the key trends, I believe, within an agribusiness and agricultural space, products and drinks are concerned.
Thanks, Ruby. How exactly are industries in agribusiness innovating?
So innovation globally, I think, was really pushed to the forefront because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Already because of sustainable farming focus and addressing climate change, the focus has become an online engagement. So agri-tech has always been important, smart solutions within farming and manufacturing, but this online presence has really come to the fore. And we look at various platforms that are available, not only within a South African context, but globally. I know from a Wesgro perspective, particularly with helping producers sell their products, there were various online B2B engagements that took place. So getting the right importers, meeting with our exporters, whether that be meeting for fresh produce sales or range of processed foods and drinks. But that was a key factor that sustained many farmers and manufacturers within our context. So this online engagement, which used to be quite scary for many people, has become quite an easy space to actually engage in and more cost effective to a certain degree. Not to say that in-person engagements are less important. I think definitely in future there's going to be this hybrid where, both an online engagement and people meeting doesn't actually fall away completely because markets have opened and travel has taken place. But I think it adds to the engagement. It adds to the value of those selling platforms to a large extent. I think of, just away from produce and food, but we also have platforms that, allow farmers to rent out equipment that's being idle, or not being used during certain periods, which is an additional avenue stream for farmers. So Axel is a key example of that. So it's not just farm produce, which would be Hello Choice, also another platform that was used where fresh produce is being sold and there are transactions actually taking place on that platform. And I'd be silly to not mention our Cape Trade portal, where the Wesgro platform that actually allows a range of produce and processed foods and services to be sold online platform, where it's easy for you to find vetted suppliers in our space and gives you an open environment for you to gain knowledge, but also interact with our agency and various producers within an agribusiness space or sector. Big data is going to be crucial going forward. Globally, within our context too, big data supports precision farming, which falls within that smart agricultural and sustainable farming space. It'll help farmers and producers, manage and monitor and do fairly formal risk assessments, which will allow, alternatives in funding considerations, but a far more precise handle on what is being produced and how to mitigate against risk. So, we're able to produce sustainable yields in the long run. I think another core trend is actually, and it falls within the sustainable farming focus and producing focus, is to use less and produce more, but in a sustainable way. And that speaks to saving energy and conserving water, etc. I think those are the real key trends that speak to our context and a global trend within agriculture production and agri-processing.
And zooming in locally, how are agribusinesses innovating in the Western Cape?
This is an exciting space then, and honestly, I'm not just saying that. To see how, the local industry has actually innovated and kept abreast of growing trends, the support of our local government and national government to support innovation and this tech focus and the sustainable farming practices, all needed for our longevity and the success of an industry that is the cornerstone of exports and the growth for industry at large and our country at large. I think of key examples within a Western Cape government space would be our Smart Agri Plan, which is a framework and an implementation plan that addresses climate change. There are four cornerstones to that plan, which focuses on governance and cooperation in addressing the risks of climate change. It's knowledge management, research, and we keep the best what we believe would be key implications for us to consider. Low carbon production is going to be key, falls again within sustainable farming, and also reducing the disasters, when addressing climate risk, how that impacts on our sector, and incorporating that into plans and disseminating that kind of information so that we are prepared. Western Cape government also focuses on innovation and supporting technology, growing the industry in a sustainable way. Key examples of tech introductions would be our Cape Farm mapper, which allows to look at spatial inquiries where farms are concerned, sizes, etc. We've got the Fruit Look, which is a web-based portal which helps farmers and companies get weekly data on moisture and growth information and mineral information on the plants that they produce. There's Agri-Stats too. So, not only from the producer side and consumers understanding the importance of technology, but there's a strong support from government also to understand if we are going to be competitive in the long run. It's not only just focusing on these sustainable practice, but also facilitating this tech space that needs to take place, and the growth that needs to take place within digitization and a green economy, and how we can support that. Companies that are at the forefront, really, would be, maybe I shouldn't mention companies just yet, but the smart irrigation industry globally is valued at 17.5 trillion rand, and that's a value that was given for 2021. So people are aware of the fact that this is an industry that is growing, and we aren't behind. Given the focus on agriculture in this region, there are key companies already present here, and particularly with smart irrigation, solutions also would be Agribusiness, based in the Cape, a formidable company that supplies solutions into the rest of Africa. Cape is also seen as the startup space or region for agri-tech companies such as Aerobotics, which is drone imagery. We've got Agriprotein, which is a British company based here, which uses black soldier flies in feed and fertilizer. There's Agri-LED that's also based here. So a strong startup generation, coming through the ranks and being supported to a large extent, because we realize the importance of this industry going forward and ensuring longevity in our space.
And what are the key Western Cape markets for agribusiness produce and products?
The key markets, and that's why the sustainable farming has such a huge impact on our industry, is that Europe is our largest export market. That's 31% of product going out in terms of agri and agribusiness. 31% of that is sent to Europe. Second to that is Africa, which is a huge excitement always about Africa. Third is Asia. But in terms of the value of agricultural and agri-processed products, the United States is the largest in terms of value, in a single country being the focus, particularly, because of the strong citrus and wine exports to the United States. But of the top 10 exports from the Western Cape, 7 of those are agri products, which shows you the importance of this industry for our continued growth. 7 of the top 10. And the EU Green Deal has huge implications for industry. So understanding how important, for those that haven't realized just how important it is to actually gear your farming practices in a more sustainable way, meeting those requirements, is only going to help in terms of saving that market, a key import market for our region. I think key for an organization such as ourselves is ensuring that information is disseminated, that we work very closely with the Department of Agriculture and sector bodies who are the specialists in their sectors and fields. And Wesgro serves as that interface again to ensure that the private sector is kept abreast through this close networking of key sector bodies within the region.
A big thank you to Ruby Swigelaar, Head of the Agribusiness Investment Promotion Unit at Wesgro, for such an insightful conversation around food for thought, the future of agribusiness.